Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
You are watching Nevada Newsmakers.
And welcome to a special edition of Nevada Newsmakers. On this day begins the impeachment trial of Kathy Augustine, the state controller. We join Gene Kennedy in Carson City, who's reporting this story for both KVBC and KRNV. Hey, Gene, what's the mood down there in the hallways?
Well, Kathy Augustine is here, and obviously a lot of tension. Things are just getting underway with opening statements. It's going to be a long trial, Sam. I mean, we've got at least 12 to 13 witnesses on the prosecution side, and on the defense side, 37 witnesses. So we're going to hear the opening statements today and then see some of these witnesses testify, and you can bet that many of them will be people who worked with Augustine in her office. These are employees of hers who also testified during the assembly hearings about these state ethics violations that she's now being charged and tried for.
You know, it seems like the trial has already started in the media. Do you get that sense that the defense has already started painting a picture of Kathy Augustine as somebody, well, everybody has done this before, and these are just disgruntled employees? Is that a setup?
Well, they're definitely concerned about their client's image. There's no doubt about that. In fact, you may recall that she did an exclusive interview with Channel 4 before this trial even started. So obviously trying to get her side of the story out. And they didn't cross-examine. Well, they couldn't cross-examine any witnesses in the assembly hearings, but they brought no witnesses themselves during the assembly hearings, and they had the opportunity to do that. So there's no doubt that they're trying to paint a better image of their client in the press. Now what they're going to try to do, Sam, is say that all of this impeachment is meant to protect Nevada, not punish Augustine. There are cases that she's already been punished with a $15,000 fine from the State Ethics Commission, and that's really sufficient. Impeaching her, throwing her out of office, all that is over the top.
Okay, there's always the official story, and then there's the unofficial story. What's the unofficial story down there that you're hearing in the hallways, Gene?
Well, it's definitely something where, they're trying to get a better image of their client out. Everyone is being very tight-lipped. I have to be honest with you. The attorneys are not saying much, but they're trying to just paint a better picture of their client and hoping that it's going to have a better hearing with the Senate, because, of course, this is where they have a little bit more leverage because it's a court setting, and that's something that her attorneys are used to.
Gene, thank you very much. We're going to be coming to you all next week for updates on this trial as it progresses, and we appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, and we'll be back on Nevada Newsmakers right after this time out with the Lieutenant Governor.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
If you think Wells Fargo is only checking accounts, you're not seeing the whole picture. Online brokerage, mutual funds, mortgages, and home equity accounts. So get more than free checking and start reaching your goals today. Now you get the picture. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
It's the next best thing to having your own wine cellar. Come to the Bonanza Casino for a first in fine dining, reasonably priced wines. When you dine at Cactus Creek Southwestern Steakhouse, you can also enjoy a fine bottle of wine at just about the same price you'd pay at the Vineyard, Silver Oak, Robert Mondavi, Rombauer, Cakebread, Jordan, and Duckhorn, just to name a few. And at the lowest prices of any restaurant or casino in Northern Nevada. And remember, all fine wines are not in wine cellars. They're in the Cactus Creek at the Bonanza Casino, where locals come to play.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And today we welcome to the program Lorraine Hunt, who is the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Nevada. Pleasure to have you here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, Sam. Good morning.
As part of your workload, you head up the Nevada Commission on Tourism.
Right.
And you've opened up China.
Yes, I'm so excited and I am so proud that Nevada is the first state to not only have a tourism office in the People's Republic of China, but we have the only licensed office in the United States, and it's a real coup for us. Nevada has a great presence. With that? Well, we worked really hard, Sam. We were aggressive. We realized when I first took office that China was a huge market for us. We were suffering in northern Nevada and southern Nevada with some downturn in tourism, and we got to look to the global market, which we have been, but even more so now, because this market is a great opportunity for us. Approximately 1.5 billion people, and these are customers for our state, and they love the Old West, our themes on Virginia City and ghost towns, and of course they love the neons. But everything from neon to nature, just great market for us to nurture.
They love to gamble.
And they love to gamble, yes they do.
You know, we've obviously had great interest in Macau,
yes.
Which is just a short distance away from Hong Kong, where Steve Wynn is putting up a property. Sheldon Adelson is putting up 12 properties, already got one opened, and the numbers that have come in have been phenomenal. And the plan is to get those customers coming from mainland China to Macau and then flipping them to Nevada.
Exactly.
Having an office there can only help to bring even more business.
Without a doubt. It's all part of this master plan of being very aggressive. And while I was over there, I've made several trips now, and I had, of course, been to Hong Kong in the past in '98. I've been Singapore, welcoming the Singaporeans to the visa waiver program in Taiwan, the Pacific Rim as a whole. But this China experience is really magnificent. And what I tried to do while we were over there, and I think we've been rather successful, is to establish Nevada in the eyes of the Chinese, Nevada as the gateway to the United States. So we positioned them flying directly from People's Republic of China to McCarran International Airport, People's Republic of China into the Reno Tahoe International Airport. And we've been quite successful at getting that mindset started. We've also worked with China Airlines, the administration of CAAC, in regards to direct flights from People's Republic of China to both Reno and to Las Vegas. And we were very happy to hear recently the federal government has increased the number of flights from the PRC from 52 a week to approximately 240 a week. And so we're working diligently to get our big share of those flights to come to our state.
Oh, okay. How are you approaching them? Are you putting together package tours? I mean, for example, the Hawaiian business is very, very important to downtown Las Vegas. It's huge.
Correct.
And there's a huge community of Hawaiians living in southern Nevada just because they love to game and they can't do it in their own place. What are we doing to package Nevada for China?
Well, at this point in time, we've been leaving the tours up to the independent operators. However, the Nevada Commission on Tourism, it does have this license that would enable us to do outbound marketing, which we could move into that direction. The visas have been a problem, particularly in light of 9/11 and Homeland Security issues. We're overcoming that, working with the State Department. And then, of course, these direct flights are critical and crucial. So we're setting the groundwork to get millions of these visitors to come to our great state. And
Okay, beyond the two companies I mentioned, what's the response from other companies like MGM Mirage, Harrah's, people like that?
Well, as you know, Terry Lanny and the MGM Mirage have been spending a lot of time in China, and they will undoubtedly be also making investments in that area. And there's so many ancillary benefits of what's going on in the gaming market in Macau, not only introducing and teaching new gamblers of these 1.5 billion people that will want to come to the Meccas, to Nevada, because we wrote the book on gaming, But in addition, look at our companies that originate here that produce gaming and manufacturing equipment for the gaming properties. So with our IGTs and our ballet companies, they're all going to benefit. So it also not only promotes tourism for our state, of which I chair the state tourism department, but it also promotes our economic diversification efforts. It's just a win-win situation for Nevada.
Let's talk about, it's obvious the benefits to Southern Nevada. In the past, I've heard talk about increased cargo coming into Northern Nevada.
Without a doubt.
Is that what the plan is?
Yes, on my first trip to the PRC in October of 2003, I had Chris Bart from the Reno Tahoe Airport accompany me. We met with the CAC, the Chinese Administration Air folks, and talked about opportunities, what we needed to do. She was able to tell them the great advantages we have in Reno, at the Reno Tahoe International Airport for air cargo. They were very impressed. She had all the stats. We met with Mr. Pang, who is like the #1 aviation man that runs the Hong Kong airport. And even I didn't realize the assets that we had in our Reno Tahoe airport until Chris was there and we went through all of these meetings. And it's quite exciting. Nevada's in a great position.
Is there a great awareness of Nevada? Because China, obviously, well over 1 billion people. In the big cities, I can understand that there would be a great, interest and knowledge of Nevada. But is it nationwide, or are we going to have to do public relations campaigns on television and radio across that great country?
Well, we have been on television. I have been on television, radio, all kinds of our media coverage has been immense. In fact, when I went to some of the venues, people actually recognized me from having seen me on television. And then I did, this is interesting, I did Soho.com, which is a .com company in Beijing, and we did a chat room for 2 hours. And it was very exciting and all kinds of activity, and they were asking me a lot of questions about the bright stars and the cowboys, and I was talking about all of the rural areas of Nevada. But at the end of the chat room experience, I asked the producer approximately how many people may have been tuning in or conversing with us, and he said, well, Soho.com hasn't been up for very long. We're just getting started, and there was only about 60 million people watching.
Oh, my Lord. We're going to take a break. More with the Lieutenant Governor when we come back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Sunbelt Communication.
I am the port in the storm.
I am the line in the sand.
Deploy boss group, start the train.
I am the enforcer of the sea.
United States Coast Guard, need you and prepare your orders.
We are the defenders of the homeland. We are the shield of freedom. We are the United States Coast Guard.
Heed your country's call. Join the Coast Guard or Coast Guard Reserve.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Ken Dillon, owner of Van Dyne Roofing, can get it fixed with his eyes closed.
The Abowed family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back here, we're talking with Lieutenant Governor Lorraine Hunt. You preside over the Senate. The Senate is where the impeachment trial of Kathy Augustine kicks off on Wednesday. My first question to you is, what is your thoughts on this?
Well, Sam, it's obviously a very regrettable situation to everyone concerned. And all we can do now is follow the Constitution, follow the letter of the law, and make decisions based on the law and evidence. And that's what will be happening early on Wednesday morning through the process.
I want to kind of play devil's advocate with you here for a minute. I recall in your re-election for Lieutenant Governor that you had a pretty tough race against Erin Kenney.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you had to be even tougher than she was, and she was very tough. Kathy Augustine has been a tough boss. Is there still a problem for us in the United States with women being tough in business or in government, or should that be overlooked in a situation like this?
Sam, as you know, I come from the private sector, and I've been in business for a long time, over 30 years. My mother was my mentor, and she's a very tough lady. She's still our executive chef at our Bootlegger Bistro at 87 years old. And she set a good example for me. She can be tough when she has to be tough, but she really motivates people. When you manage, you manage people, and then that's what makes your team. But there comes a point in time when you sometimes do have to duke it out, and you don't want to, but yeah, you have to be tough, but not all the time. And some people are very intense about what they do and maybe come off a little tougher than they need to. And then in my particular position as being a businesswoman for so many years, I found that I can get a lot more done working with people in a more agreeable fashion. But sometimes you've got to draw the line in the sand, and you've got to take a hard stand.
Do you think if it was a man in the state controller's position that there might be a different discussion here?
I would not like to think that that would be so.
All righty, let's move on. You've already announced your intention towards being in the governor's race.
That's correct.
It's looking like a very crowded field.
It is. It's going to be a very crowded field.
Governor was on the show the last couple of days talking about whoever runs for governor has got to raise a lot of money, got to get in early, raise that money and get going. How are you doing?
True. Well, I've had a slow start because of the legislature. Unfortunately, my hands have been tied with the special sessions.
Right, because there's a certain period
of time before and after a session, whether it's a special session or a regular session. So if you look back at all these special sessions, I started up the party and the fundraisers and had to stop, had to cancel parties. In fact, I had a couple of huge parties fundraisers planned for Southern Nevada and Northern Nevada that I had to cancel because of this special session. So yes, that's going to put me behind many of the other candidates because of the delay. We'll be going into session in February again, as you know, and hopefully it'll be a 120-day session, and then I'll have to wait
From
and
your
then
mouth
kick up.
to God's ears.
Yes, dear.
I think that's the way everybody feels about that. On the Republican side, if he gets into the race, your main opponent will be Jim Gibbons.
Correct, and Jim is a dear friend, and I think he's a great candidate, and I love what he's doing in Washington, D.C. But regardless of what he decides to do, I will be in the race. And hopefully we could show people in a primary how you can have a good, honest debate and how the two candidates are philosophically very similar, but maybe have a different style, a different management style, a different background. I come from the business world, and Jim is more of a military, and he's had this Washington experience. So I think both of us will bring a lot to the table.
Okay. The governor obviously is putting together budgets right now to present for the state of the state. Any advice for the governor at this point? Any thoughts of, because if you were going to be jumping into that role 2 years from now, it would be nice to kind of know that this governor was setting you up well.
Well, we just did a survey, we meaning the Nevada Commission on Economic Development, and for the first time, it's unparalleled. We went out and had focus groups and did surveys with all the small businesses in the state, all over the state, the rural communities, the urban areas, and we came up with 10 recommendations to the governor and the legislature as to what they could do to help secure the security of small businesses. 98% of our businesses in Nevada are still small. People need to remember that. That's a huge percentage. And these recommendations are things like no new taxes, affordable health insurance for small businesses so they could form cooperatives to provide their employees with health insurance. There's so many good things. The 10 recommendations are probably a whole nother show that I'd like to present to you.
I know, and we'd love to have that. Was child care involved in there too? Because that's such a big issue in this state.
It is a big issue, but this was primarily recommendations from small businesses, the mama papas in the state, 3 to 5 employees, 6, 7. Child care is not part of that scenario for small businesses, but health care is providing their employees with hospitalization, major medical, and perhaps even a catastrophic would be great, because most people are concerned about that big, hit. They can lose their home and go into bankruptcy. So if they could have a $2,500 deductible, for example, in a catastrophic, if they get cancer or a heart attack or anything that would be significant, they know that their home would be secure. We start with that for small businesses.
I'm a small businessman. I would personally appreciate this because I know what my insurance premiums are. You know, you have really been lucky at this end of your term, obviously 2 more years to go,
yes.
But where economic development going through the roof, tourism now, because of the investment certainly in Southern Nevada, and now we're starting to see them in Northern Nevada
yes.
as well, just through the roof. So you have to feel pretty lucky about that.
I'm lucky, and I feel very proud that I was leading the way in many of the initiatives that are producing these successes. The Truckee River, the whitewater rafting experience is a tourism thing that I'm very proud of. We'll be starting phase 2 shortly, hoping to break ground next summer. I've been looking at many things in Northern Nevada to expand the base of tourism. And of course, the global market.
Can I throw in a suggestion? I think there should be more marketing between Las Vegas and Reno and
Without
Las Vegas.
a doubt.
I think we are missing out on a huge market that's right here.
Did you ever see the PSAs that I did?
I have seen.
And it was when you want to get out of town. It's just PSAs done in Nevada. When you want to get out of town, visit Nevada.
I couldn't agree more.
And in Spanish, descubra Nevada.
Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for being
Thanks,
here. We'll
Sam.
be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, a top flight pundit panel for you as always today. Randi Thompson joins us. She's a PR consultant. Alfredo Alonso with Lionel, Sawyer and Collins, and Marlene Lockard with Capital Strategies. Welcome to all of you. Let's start right out here with the impeachment. I want to know the story behind the story.
Well, there's some interesting characters involved in this trial. Jennifer Normington is an incredible young lady, and I think it's interesting to see the characters that are playing out in this. It's sad to see, like the paper report today, about the records being questioned about her prescription drug use. I thought that was a little odd, but there's some interesting characters. That's, you know, to be politically correct. I'm not too surprised at what's happening, knowing some of these
why?
folks.
Would you be a little bit less cagey, a little bit more specific?
I don't want to get a libel suit against me. Yeah. They're just,
oh, okay, you've had your
just
chance.
interesting
Alfredo,
is all I can think of.
Alfredo, this is the Dominic Gentile's job, isn't it? Isn't to push his client forward and to paint the opposition as bad as possible?
Oh, absolutely. I obviously, Dominic's doing his job. He's got to protect and defend his client, and he's doing a great job. The problem is that she's almost undefendable. You've got an individual who has lost the public trust, and in my view, I don't think the public really deserves anyone in office that. I don't think second, third, fourth chances exist.
You know,
I think it's time to go.
I think that's very interesting. A lot of my phone calls over the last couple of days have been from regular members of the public who have said exactly that. It's not a legal issue. It's public trust,
Absolutely.
and they have lost the trust. Have you got any more backstory stuff for us here?
No backstories, but I feel the same as Randi. When now you start digging into her prescription and medical records, I think that goes beyond the pale, and I'm totally offended by that. And the fact remains, the woman already pled guilty to the offenses. She cannot unring that bell.
But is she not entitled to the best defense that her attorney could provide, and if that's where he has to go to do this?
Well, no, I don't think she's entitled, and this absurd excuse, now everybody does it. Everybody doesn't do it. I've worked for a number of elected officials, and I don't know one of them that didn't have a separate campaign office, separate press person, issue person, entirely separate scheduling to keep that absolute line separate from political work and state or federal business. It's very important that our elected officials do that.
Well, we have to hold them to a higher standard.
Let's go down the line here. Thrown out of office or censured?
thrown out of office?
She should be thrown out of office. I fear she may be censured.
Thrown out of office.
Okay, let's move on here. New York Times editorial today, I love this, talking about Tom Ridge. Tom Ridge was the best Secretary of Homeland Security this country has known. And now that he's joining the exodus from the administration, President Bush has a chance to appoint someone better. Mr. Ridge became best known, well, for playing with colors. Yeah, I personally thought that that was really fascinating, from the, don't worry about it, to the, oh my Lord, holy mackerel scale. I mean, what has Tom Ridge given us except scaring the heck out of us?
Well, he created a department and consolidated and brought in groups that had usually not worked very well together. And when you look now at what they're trying to do with the 9/11 Commission, Congress really has a stake here because there is protection turf going on. There are turf battles going on in Congress. They don't want to see this combination of defense and CIA and FBI because they all want to keep their own turf. But he created a department out of a mishmash of folks and put them together. And in that sense, he created, I think, a sense of security that should be the major role of our government.
Alfredo, was he effective?
I don't think it matters whether he was effective, in the sense that here he essentially started something out of nothing. I don't know how we base the past performance of our intelligence community or our FBI or anyone on what we have now, because we never had an issue like terror in the past. I mean, this is new. This is new ground. And since 9/11, I think what happened is people panicked. And when you panic, you make a lot of bad decisions. And I think that there may be some critics out there that say he did a good job, and not in these areas, or it doesn't matter. He started something that I think is going to be improved on.
Yeah. I think he was a much better governor than he was Director of Homeland Security. And I agree that bringing all these disparate groups together is a challenge that you'd have to be a crazy man to take on. So I applaud him for stepping up to the plate and serving this country, and I think it's now time to move to the next level.
Well, and as we're seeing with this intelligence bill that's trying to get passed through the House, is that the Secretary of Defense doesn't want this to go through, and the President's saying yes, he does, but truly, I don't really think he does.
Hey, listen, we have trouble consolidating services here in Washoe County, let alone doing it nationally, so that gives you an idea.
Well, Alfredo, what can I say? We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
The Avowed family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Ken Dillon, owner of Van Dyne Roofing, can get it fixed with his eyes closed.
Coming up tomorrow, do we need Nevada State College? I think we do. You'll find out on the next Nevada Newsmakers.